Welcome to the Nerdy Jock podcast. This is why you should be watching Solo Leveling. This show was something that has been on our radar for a while. We talked about it on one of our other pods. Yeah, maybe we'll give it a shot, right? Mm-hmm. I mean, it was kind of a background thing for you were saying?
Yeah, I started off as like I'll watch it, because we've been doing a What We're Watching podcast, right, DK?
Yeah.
And I was like, well, I think I need to add Solo Leveling to my list. We've done Ranma, we've just finished Dan to Dan. I need something to fill my time. And I was like, well, I heard some good things about Solo Leveling, so let's check that out.
When we started covering Dan to Dan, there were so many people reaching out saying, hey, Solo Leveling's pretty new. You should be covering that too. It's awesome. You should check it out. So I think we said, okay, like maybe we'll check it out. And then one fateful day, I got a text message from you, and you basically said, I'm done with season 1. You need to watch this show.
Yes. Yeah. So here's the deal, guys. I wasn't even sold on Solo Leveling. I heard a couple plot points about the initial premise, but I started watching it as a kind of like a Netflix background show at first, even though I watched it on Crunchyroll. Uh-huh. It was more like like if I'm editing one of the podcasts that we do all the time, or doing something else at the house, I'll just put it on the background. But by episode like 3 or 4, I was like, oh, whoa, this is not a background show. This is like, let's get my full attention to this because it's awesome. I mean, there's just so much we're going to have to talk about today.
Right. So I'm going to launch into it. If you have not seen Solo Leveling and you don't want the plot spoiled, I'm just going to give a basic setup of what Solo Leveling is.
And then we'll go into plot.
Then I'm going to pass it to the Nerdy Jock himself, and then we're going to start going into spoilers. So if you want to watch it, check out the show. You can listen to this premise, see if it's something that you want to check out. And in the meantime, once we get to spoilers, you can stay if you want. Stay at your own risk. Because I think both you and I are completely caught up.
We're caught up.
As of yesterday.
I mean, so as of the time of this recording, we're actually in season 2 is already airing. And they've released 3 episodes. And I think episode 4 is coming out tomorrow on Saturdays when they release it, I think.
Right. If we can date the record of this episode, that is where we are at.
Yeah, and guys, this is actually a super bingeable show. I'm going to be honest. Not many shows are this bingeable, but this one you want to keep watching immensely.
Yeah. But I've had a busy week. I've had a busy couple of weeks, and I've still found so many moments to steal away and watch this show. Yeah. Once it got rolling, it got rolling. So let's just launch right into this.
Tell us what's up, DK.
So Solo Leveling was a web novel published originally in 2016. It was then adapted into a webtoon series in 2020 in Korea, and then eventually adapted into an anime by A1 Studios, which was founded by an ex-executive at Sunrise. So it's kind of like that Mappa Madhouse type of thing. And it's a really interesting production as well, because there are actually 2 Japanese dubs for it. There's one that airs in Japan where all of the Korean names of the characters, because it is a Korean story, are translated into Japanese names. Then we have a Crunchyroll dub where all of the original Korean names are used, even in Japanese. They're saying those names.
Well, that not to interrupt, but to interrupt, that's extremely important because I'm like, wait, Jin-Woo Sung and like there's all these characters have Korean names because like I said, I watched Squid Games recently as well, and it's very similar. I'm like, wait, it's very Korean. It's different. It's not Japanese.
Right.
It's Korean for sure. Like especially with the names. And then I was like, okay, something's going on here, and that makes sense. I mean, I didn't do the back research. I let DK do all that work. I just lift weights and watched anime, and I let him do the heavy brain lifting.
And I surf Reddit. I surf the floors.
Baby. Yeah, but that makes sense because I was talking to my other buddy who put me on to Solo Leveling, and I was like, is this like Korean originally? And he's like, oh, I don't think so. He didn't know. But I guess you're right, DK.
Yeah.
It did have Korean origins.
I thought
Jin-Woo.
I thought it was a thing where Korean television is so popular around the world now. Because it's really finite. You can tell a complete story. You don't need 9 seasons to eventually ruin it. Usually it's just 1 season, maybe 2, maybe 3. And usually the stories are really good. I mean, in the last 6 years, especially, Korean television has exploded across the world. So I was wondering initially, did they set this in Korea because everyone's just watching Korean television? Because some anime are set in America. Yeah. So it made sense. Like, okay, do a Korean one. But no, this is originally a Korean story. As I said, it was a web novel. And the premise of this is, the backstory is that 10 years ago in this world, these gates started appearing around the world that are of a different level of difficulty, much like the gates of Oblivion in the Elder Scrolls V game Oblivion. Yeah. Is it 5 or is it 4? I think it's I don't remember.
Super JRPG and role-playing vibes. We're going to talk about that in detail in a little bit. But right now, just so you know, it's very much like a video game, like dungeon.
Very much. And that was what I was told going into it too. People were like, oh, if you like Sword Art Online, you can watch Solo Leveling. And for me, I was like, well, I don't really need to revisit the MMO RPG premise again. Yeah. Rest assured, if you're on the fence for that same reason, this is like that
this is not
at all.
You have to watch this show. It's freaking awesome. I love it.
So when these gates appeared, people started awakening to powers, much like in My Hero Academia, people started developing quirks in that world. And when you awaken to a power, your power is ranked on that traditional Japanese scale of S to E.
Yep.
E the weakest, S the strongest, and the dungeons are also ranked in this way.
And one of the twists about this ranking scale is, unlike in My Hero Academia or Dragon Ball or any other leveling up shonen anime where you can increase your power level, once you are graded on the mana meter scale in Solo Leveling, you're stuck at that ranking forever.
You can never get stronger.
You could be, if you're an E rank, which is at the very bottom, which is Sung Jin-Woo's original rank, you can't move up to D, up to C, up to B, up to A.
Right.
Or S, which is super rank.
You're kind of stuck just where you are.
Yeah.
And like you said, so our main character, Sung Jin-Woo, he's not only an E rank.
Yeah.
He is the most beta E rank in the entire world. In fact, that's his nickname.
His nickname.
The most beta E rank in the entire world.
Yeah, the worst hunter in the world. But he's got tenacity.
If this is a video game, this is the guy who always dies in the tutorial. Can't even make it out of the tutorial. He goes into the weakest dungeons, almost dies, gets put in the hospital every single time. But he has to because it's a well-paying job, and his mother is sick in the hospital. So he's struggling trying to make money to help cure his mother's magical disease called eternal sleep disease.
Yeah. It's very similar to something you've seen like a Legend of Zelda or something like that,
So immediately all the chips are stacked against this guy, which feels great. Just from a narrative perspective, right there, we have an unjust injury. We have a character that even though he's weak, he is still trying his best. And he has one advantage in that because he is so weak, he has intelligence.
Right.
He doesn't rely on strength. He notices things that other people don't notice.
Perception's a little bit higher, yeah.
And he's well liked in his community because if he's assigned to a mission, it's going to be about as dangerous as taking a lukewarm bath.
Yeah.
But, and now we will enter spoiler country, this is where the plot immediately twists from the first 2 episodes.
Yeah, so at first, my initial impressions, when we were talking plot-wise, I'm like, okay, this is interesting, but I'm not a very big, we've talked about this before, I'm not a huge... I love JRPGs to play them, but I've not been a very big mix my anime with RPGs. I've never been, that's just been a thing. I like original stuff. I like it having a different vibe. I don't want to involve the computer animated world into actual anime in a physical format like they do in Solo Leveling. But this is interesting because on one of their weaker dungeons, like they go on in the first couple episodes, you'll see, I think they do pretty much a dungeon every episode at least.
Yeah.
And they're on I think it's a D rank dungeon or E rank.
I think it's E.
It's a low rank dungeon.
Yeah.
And he's still, and by the way, Sung Jin-Woo is still getting thrashed and cut up by goblins, and this poor mage has to heal him every episode.
This girl who likes him, but she's a B rank healer.
Yeah.
And she has to go just to make sure he doesn't die.
Yeah. And his job is basically to carry around the gear. But in this dungeon, they realize that there's a different path, and they defeat the boss of the first dungeon, and they realize it keeps going. It didn't evaporate. There's a double dungeon.
Right.
So this is kind of cool because I was like, what do you mean double dungeon? What could that be? And they enter this huge door, huge gates, and basically they meet some kind of god or god level, even above S tier deity that forces fealty or forces death upon you.
Right. I mean, it is a double dungeon. It goes from an E to an S. Like that. And
instantly.
Nobody is able to cope with it. People start dying immediately.
I mean, there's 8 people in that party. I think 2 or 3 get chopped up. They get blown away.
They get stomped on by this god. I mean, look,
it's pretty creepy. It looks very Attack on Titan-esque. This huge deity, his teeth especially, very, pardon my French, very scary. We'll block that out.
Sorry, we can bleep it.
Yeah, we can bleep it out.
Fine.
But it was creepy, man.
This is a family show, Kevin. Get it together.
My fiance's watching with me. She's like, that's creepy. I'm like, oh yeah, wait till you watch Attack on Titan, babe. Yeah, same kind of energy.
No, what makes so you're talking about you don't like it when the video game thing usually gets turned into a plot, and we've seen this evolve over time, right?
It has.
I mean, because honestly, the JRPG, or I won't even call it a JRPG because that has a really specific thing that is in people's minds. I would say RPG video games that come out of Japan have themselves evolved over time, and their adaptations have evolved with them.
Yeah.
Like in the 90s. We have sort of a blending of anime and JRPG as we get into the PlayStation era of JRPGs with the Final Fantasies, Legend of Dragoon, all of those things. You know, we start to see that line blurred a little bit. And then with Sword Art Online, which was massively popular, obviously at that time we were coming out of a decade of the MMO RPG thing. This show...
A lot of World of Warcraft, that kind of energy. Exactly. Diablo.
Very World of Warcraft, Diablo. But in that time, a new type of Japanese RPG has taken over, which we will call the From Soft type games, like Demon Souls, Bloodborne, Sekiro, Elden Ring.
Yes.
And there are so many clones of these games because people love how hard they are, and they love the challenge and how you have to be so in the zone to compete in these games. And that's what this world is. Yeah. This is an Elden Ring From Soft type of thing, Souls type game. And so you know immediately when you step into this S tier chamber, oh man, these gods are swinging for the fences.
Yeah, they're ruthless and one slash and you're probably going to be dead.
Yeah.
And speaking of dead, spoiler alert, Sung Jin-Woo does get, he basically, everyone's dying. They get the door open. They realize they have to sacrifice. He's going to have to sacrifice himself. So, his girlfriend / healer and his mentor can get out of there safely.
Right.
So he knows he's the weakest one and he gets impaled by one of these stone monolithic deity creatures and is thrown on this, basically a sacrificial, pedestal, right?
Right.
And then the hammer of death and justice is headed right down on his head, and then beep, you get a what? You get a flash.
Right.
You get a computer screen pops up. And it's like basically saying, I can't remember verbatim, but it says, hey, he's like, do you want another chance to become the player? Or like, are you just ready to die? I'm like, what the hell? And then
he has 0.01 seconds, I think, to respond to this. And this poor kid, he was the one who figured out the puzzle of this dungeon. Nobody made it out alive, but not for his knowledge. And he still sacrifices himself so everybody can get out.
He lost a shoulder. He lost half an arm. He lost a leg.
Yeah, he got his leg stomped on.
Massive internal bleeding. This guy is dead. He's about to die. He's dying. And it was basically like, there was like a commandments, like 3 commandments, basically saying like you must show fealty, you must fear the god, and then you must give yourself.
Then you have to give faith.
You have
to
give
god.
faith to the god.
Yeah. So basically, like you have to let the god kill you. Yeah. And to basically see what happens.
And that's what he did.
And he wakes up, he's completely intact, he's fine, but the world, for him at least, has been changed forever.
Completely.
And this is where the premise of the show really kicks in, because he, unlike everybody else, now has the ability to level up. The first thing he has to, and it's not just the ability, it's a mandate to level up, because this thing, the system that's making all these little pop-ups happen, the first thing that it mandates is that every single day he has to do the One Punch Man workout.
Yeah.
100 push-ups, 100 sit-ups, 100 squats, and a 10K run every single day. Otherwise, he's transported to a horrific world where he has to survive 4 hours against these giant bugs chasing him down.
Basically, he gets sent to Dune, the planet Dune, Arrakis, and he has to survive for like 4 hours at a time.
Or like that Beetlejuice world with like the sandworms and that. Yeah.
So it's pretty great because this is just for plot purposes. Even if his personal. Even if him as a character, as a person, doesn't want to necessarily take on the task that he is confronted with as the series progresses, he's kind of forced into it. It's like you have 2 choices, yes or no. Do you accept this or take the punishment? Or do you accept this and see where it turns your humanity? Does it change you as a person? And that's one of the most unique things about this, because not only are there consequences of not wanting to level up, and by the way, we're not covering every episode. We're kind of just doing a overall talking about season 1.
This is general. This is why you should watch it.
This is why you should watch it.
If you don't care about spoilers, we're just going to cover everything and make the case why you should be watching this show.
And so this show is so fantastic in the way that, you know, he starts leveling up episode by episode.
Right.
New dungeon, stronger dungeons. He stays down in low ranks for a while. We don't have to get into every single thing there, but he gets more powerful. He gets more weapons. He gets more upgrades and abilities, slowly but surely. But he works for it all.
And he's also confronted with a burgeoning increase of moral dilemmas.
Yes.
Where basically he has a gun to his head. Do this, otherwise you will face a penalty.
Yes.
And like emergency orders from the system. And these things dramatically change him.
Exactly. So this is perfect. This is a great plot point to talk about a specific episode. So in episode 6, you know, he's been hiding the fact that he's getting stronger. He's been doing things on his own, just trying to level up. But, you know, he gets recruited by some other hunters, but they're not necessarily good people. You know, there are hunters that they got 2 E ranks, him and one of his new buddies, who's going to be probably his partner for the show, one of his best friends. They get recruited because they're low E ranks.
That's Jin-Woo. I think he's a D rank.
Yeah, Jin-Woo is a D rank.
He's okay. So we should also mention. Just pause that. So they get recruited. We're gonna put a bookmark there.
Yeah.
Much like an Elden Ring type of game, in this world, when you defeat monsters, you get these things that can be traded for money.
Yes.
And so if you're stronger, obviously you get stronger things. You can level up better. But also if you just have a lot of money, you can get stronger gear.
Yes.
So this guy who's a D rank, obviously he's not pulling any good loot, but his dad is the head of a construction company. I think it's Jin-Woo Construction, actually.
Billionaire.
So he has like the most expensive armor, the most expensive weapons, which gives him a little bit of a buffer over the fact that he is just a D rank.
Even some physical attributes, and you know, +3 here or there for strength, +10 for defense. Just absolute RPG kind of buffers. I mean, this is literally all these cool plot details are stolen from a RPG. Now, I didn't think this is really going to work until we get to this level here. Now, in episode 6. And by the way, so after episode 2, he's already growing. 3, 4, he does a couple of little tasks that the system sends him on just to train him up and just to show us how his power scaling.
He has special dungeons that he has to do.
Yeah, he has special dungeons.
He gets little keys. He has to go.
Yeah, it's really cool. It's really kind of fun and nifty. But in this one, in episode 6, these guys recruit him. They're all bad guys, mercenaries, higher level like C, and even I think maybe even one B rank guy. Long story short, because we don't have to go into details, you're gonna have to watch this yourself. But they're used as bait, and then essentially they're gonna be killed. But they're
to pacify the boss. So
pacify the big spider boss.
Yeah, if they had been eaten, then the spider goes to sleep, and then all of the people who suckered them into this job get to mine all of these mana crystals and then sell them and make a massive profit.
Exactly. But what you don't realize is that Sung Jin-Woo has been leveling the hell up. So he's actually so strong at this point on level 6. On episode 6 that he can take the spider on himself, basically.
Right.
And here's where it gets very interesting. They come back. They think he's dead by now. The bad guys come and they see that he actually destroyed the monster or one of them, and he's fine. But the problem is the system that controls him or gives him all of his abilities that he got from the God character in the double dungeon in episode 2. It gives him the option. It forces him to kill these 6 people. It says
emergency task.
Emergency task. It's like, 0 of 6 destroyed. I was like, destroy all enemies or whatever like that.
Right.
And he's like, oh crap, he's never killed a person before. But in the dungeon world, as we learned in episode 1, whatever happens in the dungeon stays in the dungeon.
Right. And we should say, too, that this is episode 6. His character growth has already skyrocketed so much. At the very beginning of the show, he's like the meekest, nicest, pathetic dude ever.
He's like, oh, gee whiz, guys.
Yeah. He gets embarrassed. He's like, ah, ha, 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 kind of that anime thing. And then by episode 6, he's such a giga chad already, where he's just, the most stoic, badass dude ever. Because these things that he has to do, killing all these goblins, it takes a toll on him personality-wise. As he accrues power, his personality warps and shifts. And as the show progresses even into season 2, as he grows further there, his personality begins to twist even more along with the stakes, which this is a really interesting way to do character growth.
Exactly. Because you think, the hero of a story, this is, this does mirror Attack on Titan in some ways where, when Eren Yeager, gets even more powerful, he doesn't necessarily get turned to the right. He goes kind of the dark side a little bit on some issues. Not everything's black and white. And Solo Leveling has a lot of that gray area in this too. I mean, there are good guys who do bad things in this show. There are bad guys who do good things, and there's people in the middle. And what's so great about this show is that it shows us, and it lets him. He has to make decisive decisions that we're going to have lasting consequences on his life. But it's like do or die, and it's like, oh crap. Well, I guess I got to do this or I die, and he does. So it's like he doesn't know where this is going. We don't know where it's going, but all we know is that it is one hell of a journey.
Yeah, that's a really good point. One of the things that makes this so effective as a story is that both we and Jin-Woo do not know where this is going because the system is actually the main character.
Yeah.
The system is the thing that's moving the plot forward.
It's guiding him.
But we do not know what the system's goal is.
Right.
So we're just kind of on this ride of growth where we're like, okay, what's going to happen? And then all of these horrific things happen, some triumphant things happen, but we never know where it's going. It's just a constant surprise and twist. I mean, even at the end of season 1, he goes on a job class reassignment mission or whatever. And then the job that he is given is not something that you would have ever expected.
Exactly. So just when you get bored with him leveling up, because now he's like almost like A-level, top tier, almost S-level power, you're like, oh, this is boring. Well, he gets assigned a different job class. I'm like, what? Job class? And then it goes straight into season 2. So, I mean, we can talk
about it. We're just making a recommendation. You can talk about whatever.
Yeah. Okay. Spoilers all day long. So let's backtrack just a smidge here. And I know we're kind of free ball on this one. We're going all over. We don't have like a outline of what we're doing here. We're just kind of going with what we're feeling. But there are different companies and different different groups of hunters that have different established companies that
the guilds.
The guilds, and they mine money for big corporations to get rich, wealthy, famous, all that. So that's actually an interesting plot twist too, because in season 2, you're going to see a lot more guild activity and different top tier fighters getting more involved, and you're getting backstory with Jin-Woo's family getting involved that you thought people might have been dead, and then he gets this crazy job assignment, and he says no. He just defeated this really cool. He just defeated a really tough dungeon, like the S-rank dungeon where.
With a really crazy knight that reminded me of
Igris. Is it Igris?
It's Igris, yeah. It reminded me, if you guys are Elden Ring players, it was like the millennia of this thing, where this thing is just way too strong for him, and he has to figure out how to overcome it. But I also love this sort of dungeon master, villain, NPC, whatever, has a code of chivalry. It is a knight. So when he puts his knife away, the thing puts its shield and sword away and fights him hand to hand.
Yeah. I mean, and we didn't even talk about the animation yet, but it's gorgeous.
Whoa, I can't believe we didn't talk about the animation.
We haven't talked about the animation
One of the most beautifully animated shows in the last 2 years. And guys, if you haven't watched this yet and you're still with us right now, this only came out last year, January 2024. Season 2 is airing concurrently with this pod.
And it's awesome.
Yes.
And I'm loving it. So you get to see some of the most beautiful animation. And I feel like, okay, we're only 23 minutes in. There's no rush here.
Yeah.
But at the end of this episode, at the end of season 1, he gets the system asks him if he wants to accept a job change. And he's like, why the hell would I want to accept a job change? I've got all this good stuff working out for me. I'm getting rich and wealthy by taking on D and C rank dungeons on my own, solo leveling, hence the name solo leveling. He's like, I don't know what this job change, what it would do to me. But he says no. He actually turns it down, and it says, are you sure? Like,
this is a hidden job class.
Yeah, it's a hidden job class.
It was necromancer, which he was like, wait a second, I'm an assassin build. You know, he has a stealth technique because there was an episode where they also went into a dungeon with an A rank. No, he was a B rank.
B rank.
Who was super sadistic, killed the entire team, who were made up of survivors of the double dungeon.
Yeah.
And then he has to take out this B rank and level up, and then he gets that guy's stealth ability. So, and he fights with a knife, and so he is by all means an assassin build. And then this dungeon is like, no, you're a necromancer.
Yeah, and you're like, what the hell? So
he's like, I don't have intellect.
Yeah.
I've been putting all my stats into strength. Yeah.
So basically, as anyone who's been watching since episode 1, which I mean, obviously, if you're watching season 2 or end of season 1, you're caught up, and you're like, necromancer. Emotionally, physically, mentally, you don't know what the effects that having that job class are going to have on him.
Right.
You know, could it push him to the dark side? I mean, basically, his ability is to whoever he kills, he can say arise.
He can enslave
the dead.
Yeah.
Like, it is one of the most morbid and like crazy job classes you can get in a RPG.
And there's a moment plot wise in season 2 where there is an A ranked guy. That he's in the middle of a battle with an S rank ice elf.
Yes.
And this A rank,
such a cool fight, by the way.
It's amazing. And then this A rank guy is charging him to kill him. He uses one of his enslaved minions. I think he uses Igris to kill the A rank guy, and then immediately resurrect the A rank guy to fight
Iron,
the ice elf. Yeah, names him Iron.
It's insane.
And Iron is like a joke character.
And you're like, wow.
He's kind of dumb. He's kind of like yells all the time, and he's like, okay, like take it down. But it's so dark too, because it's the guy that he killed in the middle of a battle so he could enslave his soul to fight an elf.
Yeah, I mean, there is a lot of like really kind of it makes you deal with some pretty real consequential stuff here.
Right.
You're like, I don't know how I feel about this, because he just enslaved a guy who he basically murdered. It was self-defense, but now his soul belongs to him. And it's like, and he can call him to do his bidding ever. Like, I was like, dude, when you watched episode 1 or 2, you did not think this is the way it was going to go at all, did you?
No.
Yeah.
No, I didn't at all. And unlike you, like I remember you said it took you a second to get into it. Yeah. I was hooked right away. I was like, oh, okay, this is more like Elden Ring. It's not going to be like Sword Art Online. I'm into this. This is something new. This is something original. But every single episode has twisted where this is going so much that it just keeps me hooked. I think there was only one episode and that was largely focused on the B plot, which is basically that the guilds are learning that the monsters that are coming out of the dungeons are starting to evolve.
Right.
This is kind of in the background. There's a lot of little guild B plots. There's kind of the C plot where because he's an E rank that keeps surviving all these dungeons where all these higher level dudes are dying.
People start looking into him.
Yeah, people are looking into him. They're like, wait, this doesn't make sense. And even the guy who was the head of the crew that we're going to kill him and Jin-Woo in that one dungeon with the spider that we talked about, that dude's brother is an S rank.
Yes.
And so now he wants to kill him.
He wants him back. So there is a lot of plot, and I get it. If you have not watched it yet, obviously none of this makes sense. Right. But the point is, you need to watch it ASAP, because it is awesome. It's bingeable. I think the first season is 12 episodes, so it's easy to you'll crush that in 2 days.
It just rolls. It just rolls, man. If I can give my simple pitch, this is a story about a main character who is very nice, very weak. He has all the chips in the world stacked against him. He's not just E rank, he is the weakest E rank in all of humanity, and he is gifted the ability that nobody else has to actually level up, but that thing slowly contorts and destroys him as a person.
Yeah. His humanity is not the same as it was in episode 1 of season 1 as it is in season 2. He's a lot more he's a lot more conniving. He makes decisions. He hurt one of these guys, like he scratched his face just to show his power over him. Right. He went in stealth just to mess with this guy. And I'm like, dude, I was like, how do I feel? And that's the best feeling you can have when you're watching an anime. Right. Is having mixed emotions on the lead character of the show. Yeah. Like, are you pro Sung Jin-Woo all the way, or are you like, I don't know how I feel about this, or are these guild members gonna take the plot and be a better, heroic archetype character? I don't know, but all I know is that this is one hell of a fun ride so far that we're having.
Right, it's Breaking Bad essentially.
Breaking Bad,
it's Mr. Chips becomes Scarface, only this is like the nicest guy you've ever met becomes Sephiroth.
Yeah, exactly.
Over the course of 12 episodes, and that's basically what it is. I mean,
Yeah.
guys, that's the pitch.
Yeah.
I mean, we could go into all of the little plot things, but I feel
So it's Elden Ring meets Breaking Bad meets meets Attack on Titan.
right meets Sword Art Online,
Sword Art Online.
kind of. I mean, they're not. No, nobody else is trapped, but he is trapped by the system.
Yeah.
He has to do these things, and we don't know where this is going.
And there's little plot details here and there because
Yeah,
we
little
know
seeds
little
sprinkled.
seeds. Like I was like, is this a fake world? Are we gonna realize that they are in a video game eventually? I don't know. Because
Right.
in the snow battle in season 2, spoilers of course everywhere. You know there were glitches. You know he saw glitches in different
Right.
characters.
Yeah.
There was one of the ice elves that he had to fight who was an S tier level elf. He couldn't use it when he destroyed him. He couldn't take his spirit. Maybe his levels aren't strong enough to do that yet because he's such a high level ranking foe.
Right.
But when he was talking to him, you saw his character glitch and the screen goes shh, and he
repeats his dialogue.
And he repeats his dialogue, and he's like, "What the hell?" And so even Sung Jin-Woo understands that something's not right here in the world.
And the final tease
Yeah.
that we've had is that we've met his dad, who
Yeah.
has teased the fact that, oh no, there's something really big coming, that all of the hunters in the world, which are what these people who are ranked to awaken, I don't think we mentioned they're called hunters. That all of them together can't stop what's coming.
Yeah.
And it's like, is that thing Jin-Woo? Is it him?
It could be.
Is he gonna be that thing, or is it that more players are gonna start showing up, people who can actually level,
Yeah.
and all of that? So, we don't know.
And it's cool because they are adding more good C and B plot levels in there too. Like his father shows up, who's basically Fist of the North Star. This
Yeah.
dude's a bad. You can tell he's a bad mother effer.
Yeah.
He looks cool. And you're
He's
like, okay,
he's S rank in strength. He's been trapped in a dungeon.
for 10 plus years.
So nobody believes he's even a human. I
Yeah.
think he's interacting with the other S rank who wants to kill Jin-Woo, and that guy just is convinced that he is a magical beast that can talk.
Oh yeah, and by the way, that plot, this guy who's been trying to kill him because he killed his brother in episode 6, he's back and he gets decimated. By the way, he gets destroyed by Jin-Woo's father.
Oh, yeah.
That's his body. Like he's not dead. But
Right.
he's like he beat him to hell.
In an instant, they
In
say.
an instant.
Yeah, in an instant, just level the building.
Yeah.
All of a sudden, we're at Jujutsu Kaisen level destruction.
Yeah, we are in the district fight scene from season 2 of JJK. I mean,
Right.
this is it's just awesome. I mean, it's so much fun. I really don't have too much details to go.
No. This is
This is
the
it.
pitch. If you're with us, if you haven't minded the spoilers, if you haven't checked this show out, 10 out of 10,
Awesome.
amazing show. I will say one thing, and this is maybe a spoiler that if you're into spoilers, you won't want to know.
Yeah.
This is my one. If I have any problem with this show, this is my problem with this
Okay.
show. Is that as Jin-Woo faces stronger and stronger foes, his solution to beating them tends to be the exact same thing. It's either stab them in the eye or rip them apart with his strength,
Right.
because he's poured all of his stats into strength. So it's like, screw the knife. I'm just going to grab their head and just rip their head off.
Yeah.
Or I'm going to stab them in the eye repeatedly. Even, I think, in the very last episode, when he was fighting against a giant thing in the fire dungeon that he went back to, he says, "Oh, I can't beat this thing. I need to stab it in the eye." And it's
Yeah.
like, okay, this is the 4th time he's stabbed something stronger than him in the eye. If we're doing an Elden Ring analog here, the thing that makes those games great is how much attention you have to pay. You have to learn the rhythms of the person. You have to learn them, time your deflects, time your dodges, time your attacks. You really have to be in the zone, moment to moment. And it would have been cool if there was a way to represent that. I mean, I know this was a book originally, so I don't know how you do that.
Well, I mean, in a way, DK, there's a demon tower. He has to get the magical elixir of life to save his mother.
Right.
He has to get 3 components from this demon tower, which is special. It's an S-ranked special dungeon just for him from the machine.
It's one of the ones he got a key.
Long
for
story short,
his
but
little loot. Yeah.
he could only beat the Cerebus in the first time. He had to level up. He says, "I'm not even strong enough to be here. I
Right.
got to go level up." So very much like Elden Ring, you could get your ass handed to you by a character and say, "You know what? I'm not ready for this boss yet."
Right. Yeah.
And so it's kind of is a very Elden Ring-esque take on the situation. I mean, there are situations where you're not going to be able to defeat a particular enemy. You'll be done in 2 swipes, and you got to level up too. Not just learn his moves, but also get stronger. And that's kind of solo leveling.
That's it. That's
it.
Solo Leveling, guys.
It's awesome.
If
Check it out.
you're if you're watching it, tell us what you love about Solo Leveling. We are here for this. I think we'll do a follow up to this maybe when season 2 is done.
Yeah,
like
who knows?
why you should watch Solo Leveling Part 2.
Yeah. Or we might just start doing week to week on Solo Leveling as well, because Daima's going to be wrapping up soon.
True.
We're going to have 12 episodes of Solo Level season 2. So maybe that will be our new show, because I'm all about this. So I don't know.
Well, I'm still going to check out Raise Zero, and if Raise Zero is because everybody's telling me to watch Raise Zero. I'm currently watching Sakamoto Days, which I recommend. It's very funny.
I'm about to start that too.
It's good, but if Raise Zero ends up being another Solo Leveling quality show, I'm going to tell you, binge it, because we got to do it. We got to do a recommends, or we got to do something on it.
And guys, speaking of what we're watching, I know you can hate me. You can just put it in the comments. For the first time ever, I'm watching Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood.
Oh, hell yeah.
I started,
dude, no hate at all. Look,
I'm so late to the game here on this one. I mean, decades, but you know what? That's what you find in anime. You know it's gonna be great. I just been putting it off. I watched the original series, the first like 5 or 6 episodes, and I was like, it's a lot. And then I realized Brotherhood. I should have just done a simple Google search, because you told me no, just watch Brotherhood. I'm like, well, if it's different, and then I read a quick synopsis basically saying that Brotherhood's just like the manga. There's a lot more like the manga.
Right.
You don't have to see all the filler that, when they were doing it concurrently. We've talked about it in other pods before, but it's awesome.
There are a few stories in the original that didn't get redone in Brotherhood, just because, for time, there was a lot to cover or whatever. And I mean, but I remember I was watching Brotherhood when I met you 15 years ago. Yeah, when we were working on Water for Elephants.
Yeah.
I was watching Brotherhood, and I remember when it was over, I was like, dude, this is the greatest anime ever made. It's so freaking good.
It's top tier for sure.
No hate at all, dude. Just enjoy the ride. Enjoy the Brotherhood ride.
So I'll give you guys an update on that soon, but right now we're leveling up. So join us. We don't want to be solo.
Right.
We want you guys to be here with us. We can level up together.
Help level up this channel.
Yeah.
Hit like, hit subscribe.
Join us on the pod. Follow us
comment.
on social media, TikTok, Instagram, as long as it's around, stuff like that. We'll be there.
Right.
So come follow us and let us know how you're feeling. But until next time, os.
Boom.
All right.
That was great.
That was great.
That flowed.